But some numbers cannot be manipulated. You cannot be. I challenge anybody in America, and I've seen statistics like this before, and I can't remember what they are, so I'm not going to say what they were. What I remember, because I'll probably be wrong, but 5 years before they took prayer and Bible reading out of school, the crime, the illegitimate pregnancies and all that, and statistics to 5 years after they took prayer and Bible reading out. It was phenomenal. Scientific numbers. What happened? Well, they said, we need better sex education. Since they've done that, they have birthing centers in some of the schools now.
Right.
Thank you for teaching our kids how to do that. Listen, I don't want to get off on this because it really makes me mad. We grew up in Florida. My parents had 6 honorary boys. There were several words never mentioned in our house. And I won't say what they were. But we knew nothing of, we didn't have any little sisters either until way late in life, you know. We got on with it. We was not taught one thing. Not one. The schools, I remember the school, our health class, the closest we come one time, our health class teacher, and he was very nervous about it. That's the subject they didn't talk about then. And I just never forget this gym teacher's face, and he's just all boys in there. We said, well, what's this going to be about? And he said, now boys, he said boys about 15, 20 times. Now there's these girls over here, and they're different than boys, and their girls are over here now. It's best to stay clear of them. That's it. That was it. We were disappointed as boys because we thought, well, something neat's going to come out of this. He was glad they're done, but that was it. And every one of my brothers that was raised in church had children.
Really?
Figured it out. They're all still married. They're all still the daddies of their kids. It's a miracle without any kind of infiltration of Satan in his army. That's all it is, folks.
Yeah.
It's Satan in his army. We get him interrogating our kids, doing their best to tear them to pieces. I worry about the kids in this country. They don't even... They know not what's coming. Listen, there's a time coming when no man works.
That's right. We
need to be careful. Now, how precious is these moments we spend together? You know, this political year, I'm not going to get into the politics because I can't. I just about had it. I was so glad about the middle of November just so you can listen to radio without some commercial. You know nobody's telling the truth. You know, either side don't matter. Or just, you know, I'm going to tell you now, I'm a very, I believe very much that every person, as an American citizen, should go out and do their duty and vote your conscience. And really just, you know, I think you should take part in that system. We're glad for the great America is. But there is more people concerned. Now, think of the seriousness of this. Time's about going for all of us because it passes fast. They are more worried about the future of their kids in this country than they are where their kids are going to spend billions of years in eternity.
That's right.
Forever and ever and ever. Yeah. Do you get that? We're worried sick they're not going to have a good government next year. Care less about if our souls burn in hell, reaching out, Mom and Dad, why didn't you help me? There is no time left to mess around with this.
Right. Right.
Time's going to be gone. There'll be time when no man will work. Jesus knew this was coming. It's serious. I'm telling you now, you can take any statistical fact that is crime nationwide. We hear stories so bad all the time we can't hardly stand it. I just read one a 21-year-old girl gets up in the morning, goes to work at Starbucks, and they don't find her for 3 days. She's married, having a happy little life, and some neighbor followed her out and killed her and left her. That's what's going on everywhere now. It's everywhere. People have no concern for you. Why? Because there's not God in their life.
Right.
It would benefit us and this country that people had God in their lives.
Yes, it would.
Now they say, and this is ridiculous, and I've mentioned this before because it's such a stunning statement. Come from somebody supposed to know. I just never forget it. Sitting there in the police academy, and we had some criminal guy from IU or whatever, but he was also with the state police, and he was telling us some stories, some crime stories we had to deal with. And one, he said, And this guy come home, and after his family come home from church, and he shot all his family and then shot himself. He said, "Those Christians, you got to watch out for them." That's what he said, and moved right on. Those Christians, you got to watch out for them. I'll bet you we could take some statistics here, if you're going to look at that. A non-Christian, how many non-Christians are bank robbers? Just curious. How many non-Christians really are murderers? If you got to watch out for Christians and everybody's a non-Christian, you go on to that theory, well, they're all bank robbers, murderers, and liars, and everybody. How ridiculous is that? You don't have to watch out for Christians. You have to watch out for people that's trying to snatch our salvation in our country from us. Right. So, well, this was not. I've had people in this church say this country was not founded on Christian faith. It was not, and I'll argue about it. It's freedom from religion. No, freedom of religion, not from. Big difference in words there. And here, listen to what this nincompoop says about it. It is impossible to rightly govern the world without God in the Bible. That was that silly George Washington. What's the matter with him? Listen to this. I have for many years made it a practice to read through the Bible once every year. John Quincy Adams. Our forefathers. I could go on and go on and go on. God has blessed this nation because we turned to Him for help. That's right. We have now turned away from Him. Mm-hmm. We have kicked Him out of our schools. We have done everything we possibly can to alienate us from God. Satan's doing that because we're running out of time. Their time comes when no man will work. I'm going to tell you this. Of course, Bob will tell you I don't like procrastinators, but I'm not talking about that on this. And I've told you before about the farmer that was having a hard time getting good help. He was getting good help. And so he kept hiring different guys, and they weren't worth a plug nickel. He finally fired him, and then this young, kind of scruffy-looking kid comes up, and the farmer said, "Well, what good can you do for me?" He says, "I can sleep when the wind blows. When the wind blows, I can sleep." He said, "Well, what does that mean?" He says, I can sleep when the wind blows." And the farmer needed help, said, "I'll take a chance with this guy." So he put him up, put him in his room, and he was doing a pretty good job working. All of a sudden, there was a horrible storm one night. And he went to get the farmer boy up. The help could not rattle him out of his bed for nothing. Just beating on the door and everything in the world. This horrible storm's going on. Phew, that was the drugstore. The horrible storm's going on. And he couldn't get him up. So he knew he had to go out and do everything himself. So he ran out as fast as he can to the barn to shut the doors, and they were all shut and locked up. And he ran over to do something else, and it was all done. Everything was done. He could sleep when the wind was blowing. I'm telling you now, folks, this is positively, for sure, guaranteed fact in life that I can promise you is true. And it's a positive statement because I know it's a fact that we are all going to die. We're all going to get old, and we're all going to die. And I just feel so sorry about these movie stars and stuff that tries to keep themselves looking good. It ain't doing no good. I happened to see a couple, one of my favorite singers years ago. You wouldn't even know who she is, probably Marilyn McCoo, and she was a son with fifth dimension or whatever years ago. And she was just a doll and had a lot of good songs. And I seen a picture of her not long ago, and my heart just broke in two and shrunk. That can't be. And that poor gal that played on Maxwell Smart, always Get Smart, you remember that? Oh, I see a picture of her. I said, nature does that to us, folks. I don't care what you do. You're not going to stop that from happening. You can pin it up as high as you can. It ain't going to do any good. These bodies is guaranteed to go away. And it's not a negative statement, because I'm going to tell you now, when that cocoon wraps itself up and it becomes a pretty butterfly and flies off, Never once come back and says, oh, look at my dumb old body there. That's what's going to happen to us. We're not going to do that no more. It's not a worry. This is guaranteed. It's going to happen quick. We need to be able to sleep when the wind blows. I'm guaranteeing you this positively sure, storms are coming in your life, physically, spiritually, and mentally. It's all coming. You need to have all your barn doors shut. You have to make sure you're all caught up with God. And when that cold wind of death comes across your body, you're going to be able to just sleep when the wind blows and sleep in peace. Knowing that you did everything in your possible ability, your ability to get close to God and lead your family that way. Folks, listen, I pray for this nation all the time, and I hope it goes on and on for a long time. But it doesn't, if you do the numbers, it doesn't look like it can possibly continue. Even the greatest financial minds in the world right now says, well, it's about time for this world market thing. Well, the Bible says that's the case, and the Bible also says there's some real tragedies coming. We know they're coming, but we can be happy about it because we found Christ.
Right.
And He's going to take care of our soul. Whether we get old and die, I tell you what, I just about die sometimes and scare myself in the mirror. This can't be possibly happen. This was up higher than yesterday, I swear. I think it's the medication, folks. I normally look better than this. I'm kidding. The fact is, it's changing. It's coming. Time is flying. Soon, no man can work. Let's spend this time for Jesus now. And listen, not only will you be benefited by it, your employer will be benefited by it. Your children will be benefited by it. All of your family will. Your neighborhood will be benefited by you being a better Christian because Jesus taught us to put everybody else first. If families could do that, if husbands and wives could do that, I hate to say this, this might cause some controversy. If church members could do that to each other, put everybody else first, what a sweet, wonderful world this would be. Actually be genuinely concerned of the Christ-like love. That's the hardest love to explain to anybody there is. It's not like a wife love. You love them like a wife or a daughter or any kind of love like that, or a mother or father love. It's deeper than that. It's the love of Jesus Christ had for us and died on the cross for us. We need that for one another. Folks, that's what we got to work for. Because the time's coming, that love's going to be going. It's going to be going. Kevin, let's sing a song.